Right, muckers, well, today's the day. If you remember, we sent off the oil analysis samples for the Ford 8100. About 4 days later, I got the results back, and I think you'll find today will be a day for a celebration. Have a little bit of a party afterwards. It's quite simple. We get the results back, if you remember, and then you also get a traffic light system, which green means everything's fine, carry on with your regular maintenance. And amber means there's one or two things that you should just keep an eye on, and then a red sort of stop and take action means that you need to do something about, because there's been some high levels of something or whatever. But anyway, I think you'll find a green will be the colour of the day today. So here we go. And the results for the Ford 8100 is it's red. But hang on a minute. That may not be as bad as it seems. Right then. Now, the actual results. They test for no end of stuff you can see on here. All those. They test for all those different elements. They test for viscosity. They test for water content, flash point, and solubles, and stuff like that. And as I said, they test for everything else. And what the results have actually said. Remember, I sent off with the oil samples. I filled in a little bit of a form where it asked what hours had the oil done, how many hours had it done between changes. I didn't know. They asked what type of oil it was. I didn't know. And they asked what conditions had the machine been working in. Again, I didn't know. These are all unknown quantities to me, which is the whole reason I want the analysis done. Now, with that information that I gave, exactly that information, that's the reason that the analysis has come back with the red, stop. You've got to work, take action with this. So I'm not surprised at all, if I'm honest. So what does it actually entail? What does that mean? Well, they've come back and they've actually said the silicon and lead content is high, and the iron and aluminium content is slightly raised. And we advise an oil change and also change the filters. We cannot comment further without the type of grade and grade of oil. That's totally understandable. That's what I put in the report when I sent it to them, what I knew about the tractor, which was very little. So what they're doing is being cautious. So they're not saying, whoa, 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 you've got to have a rod through the block. They're saying, well, hang on, stop, you need to take action. And that action is you should change your oil. Change your oil, and then you've got a benchmark then, haven't you? You've got a baseline to work from. Okay? So what I'm going to do, when I service the Ford, I'm going to change the engine oil for a high quality engine oil. Filter, obviously. Do all the fuel filters. I'm also going to change the air filters, and I'm going to check the trunking on the air intake for any leaks or splits. I'll run it then for 50 hours. A couple of road runs to do and stuff like that, and some other bits and bobs we can do with it. Get 50 hours on it. Then I'll take that second sample kit and I'll take another 2 samples of oil, send it off, and we'll analyse that. And then what I'll do is I'll then, we'll compare the results. This one and the one with the oil change, that I know the hours, I know the grade, and I know the conditions it's been in. Anyway, So what has this actually come back on the high side with? Well, everything, to be fair, I'm a little bit surprised. I actually expected this to come back with a lot more higher readings on a lot more of the elements. Now, what we did come back with was iron. Now the iron, as I said, was slightly high. Iron at 73. 40-year-old, 8,000 odd hours, 8,500 hour tractor, probably irregularly serviced, you know, just done as and when. Probably used a multi-grade oil. Am I surprised at that? No. In fact, I would expect to see something possibly in the hundreds parts per million, you know, 100-200 parts per million. 73. No, that's not shocking at all. Aluminium. What have we got on that? We have got 20. So between these two, aluminium, where are we going to find these two? Iron, you'll find iron on shafts, you'll find iron on piston rings. Aluminium, you'll find that, again, pistons, you'll find it on big ends and stuff like that. At those sort of levels, of that age, yeah, I'd expect to see that sort of wear. As I said, I'd expect to see higher readings of that. So I'm not surprised. Because again, if you're not changing your oil regularly, it's accumulating, isn't it? If, let's just say, you change that oil every 250 hours, that reading might have been a 5 or a 10. But if you leave it for double the life, that 10 then becomes a 20. Do you see what I mean? Now when I looked at that oil, you know, visually, although there's no big chunks or, you know, it isn't shining, as I said, and there's, you know, not gritty or nothing like that, you can see that oil has been there longer than it should have been. So you're looking to get accumulations of all these. So what did we have then? We had lead. Again, lead, you're going to find your lead. Again, lead's often used as, you know, a coating, and it can be on big ends and stuff like that. The lead levels, 45, 8,000 hours, again, irregular servicing, doesn't surprise me at all. 45. When you start seeing it in the hundreds, then I've been a bit more shocked to think, okay, there's a sort of big end scoring here. Yet copper is 17, you see, that wasn't even mentioned because that's within levels. So if I'd started seeing lead and copper, I'm thinking there's a big end probably breaking up here, but there's not. So the other one, silicon. The silicon was 59 parts per million. Now this engine is in a tractor, a 40-year-old tractor, which works day in and day out, you know, in its 40 years, obviously not, I would have said in its later life, but earlier on especially, it's worked in, you know, out in the open, it's worked on the land, dusty conditions, especially during harvest and times like that, when the land's, you know, you're cultivating and stuff like that. Imagine the dust come up behind, or rolling and stuff like that, drilling. And that's why it is important to keep air filters clean. But people don't, because they think that's all right, it'll be all right. It's not so bad now with the modern ones, because you've got a warning on them, haven't you? You know, you've got an alarm that'll come up when they start to block. The old ones you didn't. You used to have to take the panel off. You used to squeeze the rubber bulb on the bottom to get the sediment, you know, all the dust and crap to drop out the bottom. But to get the panels off was a bit of a pain. It was just never got done. So that doesn't surprise me at all, especially on, say, you know, an agricultural machine, silicon. I would expect a high reading of that. And as I said, the water content very low for a Ford engine. Happy days. So there we go. That was it. That was the analysis. So the reason, as I said, I've got the red take action symbol is that, you know, you've got an unknown quantity. It's 40 years old, 8,500 hours. Oil hasn't been changed regularly. These are the readings. They're certainly not zero. So we advise you to stop, take action, change the oil, change your filters. Go again. Brilliant. So there we go, muckers. I've used oil analysis, as I said before, in the oil industry and with heavy plant. We use it with the aircraft as well, and I just think it's something that can be much more widely used in the collecting world, you know, be it cars, trucks or tractors, but especially in ag. You know, farming is where you've got the high-end kit. In agriculture, you've got, you know, combines, foragers, beat and spud harvesters, and you've got your tractors, especially when they go out of warranty and you want to run them a little bit longer. You know, something as simple and as easy as to do as that, and you saw how easy it was when I did it, and for less than 40 quid it could potentially save you thousands. So anyway, there we go. We'll keep you up to date when we do the next one, as I said, because we then can get the results back and we compare them side by side, see what's happened, if it's gone, anything's gone up, see if it's gone down or remained the same. Right then, I'll catch you on the next one. Do well.